Hello and welcome to 3 Keys of My Success, part of the For Love of Chiropractic podcast series. I'm your host, Dr. Robert Freeman. On today's show, I get to speak with another amazingly successful doctor, and here's who he is.
My name is Dr. Dane Donohue. I'm a third-generation chiropractor. I've been in practice for 34 years. As I said, I'm third generation, so I have 12 active family members that are chiropractors around the United States. And we run a very large 10,000 square foot chiropractic wellness facility in Newtown, Pennsylvania. And we take care of all types of patients, but we focus a lot on patients that have a metabolic disease through chiropractic care and lifestyle modification.
Hello and welcome to Secrets of My Success, part of For the Love of Chiropractic podcast series. On each episode, I'll be interviewing one highly successful doctor or business person, asking them what are their 3 keys of success or secrets they've used to make themselves so highly successful. So let's get started with today's show. So I had the opportunity to catch up with Dr. Dane Donohue by phone. Dane, are you there?
I'm here, Robert.
It's really good to talk to you. I'm glad we're both able to take the time and make the time to have this happen today.
Well, I have to tell you, I've been listening to the podcast since you and I were introduced, and I have to tell you, I'm really enjoying the interviews.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And, you know, I don't know if you got to have a chance and go back. There are 60-odd episodes from the first year that's just me talking and going through all aspects of practice management. So for, anybody listening who hasn't had the opportunity to listen to any of them or some of them, any aspect or any question you have from marketing to office procedures, it's all laid out in 20-minute episodes. And I've gotten feedback from literally around the world. People just really seem to be enjoying them.
And, I've listened to the ones this year, and I have to tell you, I'm really enjoying the 3 keys because you have, I was just listening to Dr. Madeline yesterday, the chiropractor in Brooklyn, and I thought she was fascinating. She's been in practice a long time and just had so much wisdom to share. So distilling, decades of knowledge into 3 key aspects of success, I think is brilliant.
Oh, and there's one coming up. Got a little preview here. There's an episode coming up. Actually, it will have aired by the time this goes live. Dr. Matt Kahn has 45 offices around the world.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just changing chiropractic. He's an amazing man. I was thrilled with the interview that we did. So anyone who's listening.
Does he have any hair left on his head, Robert?
Yeah, he does actually. He's a young guy, incredibly vibrant, just an amazing man. I tell everybody to go back and listen to his 3-part episode. It was just amazing with the information he had to share. But that's enough about that. Let's talk about you, Dane, because you are an amazing chiropractor also. And I know you told me in the intro, but remind me, how many years have you been in practice?
So I'm currently in my 34th year of practice. I graduated in 1991 from Texas Chiropractic College. And the reason I chose Texas Chiropractic College is because that's where my dad and my grandfather went.
Well, so your dad and your grandfather, so 3rd generation. That's so cool.
Yeah, I have 12 active family members that are chiropractors. My grandfather, his 2 brothers were chiropractors, Robert. I have my father. I have an uncle who, Jay Kamarick, who, if you hadn't had the opportunity to interview, I would absolutely highly recommend that.
Oh, I'd love to speak with him.
Yeah, so just fantastic chiropractor. So I just have amazing mentorship, from the time I was born.
So, man, I can only imagine what the holidays look like when y'all get together. I know there's an adjusting table next to that Christmas tree.
Yeah, there's a lot of adjusting going on, that's for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, so, I always like to ask, what was your path and how'd you become a chiropractor? But it sounds like you were predestined and had very little choice.
Yeah, I have to say that, it was definitely a God thing for me, but growing up in a family, and I learned a lot from my father, but I learned a lot from my uncle, Jay Kamarick. He was an amazing chiropractor, just being in his office. He used to go to his healthcare class. He was best friends with a guy named Arnaud Brunier, who you're probably familiar with. He practiced in the next town over from us. So, I mean, for me, it was a pretty easy decision. Just seeing what I saw growing up, people literally crawling into my dad's office. My dad had a home office combination, Robert, so I got to meet a lot of the patients. And I'll never forget, this was a very pivotal moment in my choice to become a chiropractor. I had a patient who was walking out of my dad's office, and we had paralleling driveways. One went into the chiropractic office, one went in our home. So I'm walking in, he's walking out, and he calls me over and he says, "Hey, are you Dr. Donohue's son?" I said, "Yeah." I think I was like 12 or 13. And he handed me $100 bill. Now, I'd never seen a $100 bill. And he said, "I want you to do me a favor and give this to your father and tell him he doesn't charge enough for what he does." And I remember being floored because my dad's office visits were probably like $17. I don't know what they were, but
Sure, back in the day.
I remember going to dinner that night because we had family dinner at 5:30. And I remember handing my dad the $100 bill and said, "This man gave me this." Now, I thought I was going to get like a finder's fee or brokerage fee, like maybe 10% of the $100, you know? But that never happened. And I learned later that my dad gave the money back to the patient. So, but it left an indelible impression upon me that this man valued what my father did so much that he didn't think he charged enough for what he was doing.
Wow. You know, and I don't know if you've ever had this. I have had patients tell me over the years the same thing. "Doc, you don't charge nearly enough for what you do." And I always make the joke of, "Well, I'm happy to charge you double." But yeah, people so value the difference that we make in their lives, you know, and the miracles that we perform every day. And you've seen since you were a kid. I mean, you're a third generation chiropractor. You know,
I have a son in chiropractic college, so we'll have our first fourth generation here in about 8 months.
That's cool. We somehow start to overlook the miracles the way we change people's lives.
Oh, it's amazing. And that's, you know, I see, and it kind of makes me sad, Robert, but I see a lot, especially in the past 5 years of, you know, people's exit strategy. You know, it's like formulating an exit strategy for selling your practice. And that just boggles my mind because I have no exit strategy. I just love what I do. I may, you know, reduce my hours, but I'll still be involved in chiropractic, you know, laying my hands on people. It's just when you love what you do, why would you ever want to retire from it?
Oh, exactly. Look, and I sold my practice come up on 4 years ago now, a little over 4 years ago now, but I still work there. I choose to see patients over 20 hours a week because how do you not?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And it's nice to, you know, for those who've been in practice a while, you know, I don't think it has to be all or none. I think this is an important point. I work 20 hours a week myself. I work 3 shifts in my office, have an associate. I have a great team. So you can reduce your hours and still be very profitable in your practice and not feel like you have to, you know, work 40, 50 hours adjusting patients. Because let's face it, it's a very physical, demanding job.
It is, right? And it's so important for us to keep ourselves in shape. You know, getting adjusted, eating right, all the things that we would tell all of our patients. You know, if you want to be the guy or the lady, see the patients, helping the people, laying your hands on them, changing lives, yeah, you have to be in physical shape to do that.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. My core philosophical principle for how I run my life is who you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you say.
There you go. I love that.
We have to be the example, and we're the example. I always tell people, if you want to, you know, if I really want to see how productive you are in life, all you have to do is show me your calendar and show me your checkbook, because where you're spending time and money says a lot about what you value. And, you know, we've been given this amazing gift of chiropractic philosophy, and I think the chiropractic lifestyle is hugely important. I know growing up, that was really big for me. I played sports, so it wasn't just getting adjusted. It was what I learned from my grandfather, my dad, and my uncle about how to take care of my body. You know, we had this great triune health model in chiropractic. And, you know, so it's, you know, physical, mental, emotional, biochemical. And you combine, I always say, Robert, the best definition of health is the body's ability to adapt to its environment.
Yep.
So think about the body's ability to adapt to its environment. And we know the nervous system is what allows us to adapt to the environment, but there's still the environment, right? And we still have to manage that as well. And so, you know, if we adjust people's spines and we're adjusting their lifestyle, you know, miracles happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just unbelievable what we're able to accomplish.
And without a doubt.
Okay, so I mean, Dane, you've just given us a great window into who you are and who your family is. Tell me a little bit more about what makes your office unique.
So I think what makes us unique, or our USP, is the fact that I have a 10,000 square foot building. I have a 5,000 square foot fitness facility. We have over 300 members in there. We've been doing a program called 8 Weeks to Wellness that I developed about probably coming up on 22 years ago. Basically, we developed the program because I was frustrated, Robert. I was about 10 years in practice. And I was frustrated that I wasn't getting the results that I think I really wanted to get because people's lifestyles were so toxic, if you will. You know, their movements were toxic, their eating habits and what they were drinking was toxic, their thoughts were toxic, they didn't have enough love in their life. And I was like, man, if we could teach people an 8-week process to learn the chiropractic lifestyle and really hold their hand and walk them through it. What is, obviously chiropractic was the foundation of the program and getting adjusted, but also what if we taught people how to eat properly, and what if we got them exercising where they're really not just focusing on strength and core, but the unique part of what we do with our exercises, we teach people posture correction. That's a huge part of our exercise program, teaching people how to correct their posture. And then also mindfulness and meditation, how to use your mind properly, because the mind is so powerful. So we developed this program called 8 Weeks to Wellness. We're in 20 offices around the country. We were up to 70 prior to COVID, but COVID really, it wasn't great for people because, people couldn't go to the gym. Right. So a lot of the offices struggle. And I see a lot of chiropractors, the rate limiting step for being able to offer wellness in their practice is exercise. So we've kind of got that virtual model figured out now to help the chiropractors with, implementing a very successful lifestyle modification. We do a lot of testing on the front end. So we do something called a wellness score where we look at a person's body composition, their labs, their x-rays. We do a thorough deep dive into their physiology. I always say physiology doesn't lie, but your patients do, So, your blood pressure is your blood pressure. Your blood chemistry is your blood chemistry, your body composition. And, if I look at that stuff, it's going to tell me a lot about what we need to do in terms of adjusting your spine, obviously looking at x-rays and posture, changing a person's diet, looking at, do they have metabolic syndrome? Are they hyperlipidemic? Are they dysglycemic? Are they inflamed? So we look at all these biomarkers, and then we can put them on a baseline program of 8 Weeks to Wellness where they're getting adjusted, they're doing proper nutrition, they're exercising in a very safe way, they're doing mindfulness every day for about 10 minutes, and the outcomes that we get, Robert, because, obviously we do chiropractic, that's not all we do in our office is 8 Weeks to Wellness, but the difference I see in an 8 to 12-week care plan for just our chiropractic patients versus our chiropractic and lifestyle modification, and we measure this. I'm not just saying subjectively we see a difference, like they're feeling better. We see the difference in their overall physiology.
Oh, absolutely. And, I've said for years now, and I've said on the podcast so many times, how a person feels is the worst gauge of their health.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Right.
Yeah, right. Without a doubt.
Right. High blood pressure, the silent killer, diabetes, blood sugars, in the hundreds, off the charts. Oh, I feel fine. Cancer, you have no symptoms till just before you're terminal. Cardiovascular disease, the arteries are 80% plus clogged before you have any chest pain. How you feel is the worst gauge of your health. So when chiropractors say to patients, oh, well, come in when you think you need an adjustment. Oh my God, I want to slap them.
Yeah, without a doubt. Right. We'll talk about this when we talk about the three keys, but I'm a voracious reader. One of my favorite books for the listeners, if they've never read it, it's called The Power of Habit by authors Charles Duhigg. And I would highly recommend that book. And he talks about the habit cycle. And the habit cycle is three things. There's a cue, it's a routine, and it's a reward. So the cue is what is going to cue you to do something. So it may be something in your calendar, your schedule, or maybe something, a cue is when you meet somebody to work out, right? And then there's the routine itself. So in this case, it may be working out. And then there's the reward, right? And it's the same thing, whether it's a positive habit or a negative habit. Like smoking is a negative habit, but it has a cue. You eat a meal and then you crave a cigarette, right?
Right.
You get, you have a drink, you crave a cigarette. You get around another person who smokes, you crave a cigarette. That's a cue, right? And then there's the routine, and then there's the reward or the consequence. So we're trying to create, powerful habits in our patients' lives. And one of the most powerful habits they can have is getting adjusted. So we tell all of our patients the cue for you in setting up the habit of chiropractic is your schedule. I get adjusted every Wednesday. You know why, Robert?
Why is that?
You know why I get adjusted? Because there's a Wednesday in every single week. so I know Wednesday, I'm not going to be in pain. I don't get adjusted for pain, but I know Wednesday comes around, it's my day to get adjusted. And I teach that to my patients. Your cue can't be pain, because once you're pain free, that does not mean that you're, fully well. We've got to maintain the corrected spine. So the best cue for you is pick your day. Are you a Tuesday adjustment? And if you're getting adjusted every 2 weeks, it's going to be every 2 weeks, and maybe once a week. We'll help you with that. But never leave the office without an appointment.
Exactly. Right. One of the things that I tell people is, how close to 100% do you want your nervous system and your spine to be?
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So I absolutely love that. And I clearly see what your unique selling proposition, USP, is. So our time is running. I got to ask you. So tell me about your 3 keys of success that you want to share that have helped to make you who you are.
Yeah, and in listening to the podcast and listening to the other presenters, when you're in practice, as long as I've been in practice, there's probably 20 keys, right? So trying to call it down to 3 keys was a little bit difficult. But my first key is create your culture in your life, right? So for me, find your mentors, find your coaches. If you look at the people that you're closest to, Robert, like in my life, they're all chiropractors. They're the people I want to hang out with. And I choose my friends based on how they raised me up as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So I've met people along my chiropractic journey where I was like, I want to be that person's friend. I want to mirror their success. And I made them my friend. I reached out to them, and hopefully I had something to share. So my friends, I have a Tuesday mastermind. Every Tuesday at 8:15, I meet with 2 of my really good buddies. Been doing it for years. One's a chiropractor in Houston. Another is a chiropractor in Nebraska. And I tell you, it's just the greatest. We get together 3 times a year. I'm a part of a group called the Chiropractic Knights of the Round Table. Mm-hmm. We get together 3 times a year, and we present to one another. So I think the first key is really, have you ever heard of the term fundamental attribution error?
No. How would you define that?
Okay, so fundamental attribution error is the error that we tend to make where we blame people for their mistakes instead of their environment, right? So we blame the person, right, for not getting it, right? So let's take an example of a person not getting chiropractic, because how often do we hear that? That person didn't get it, right? So we blame the person instead of blaming the environment that they're in. Maybe they just weren't in the right environment to learn the value and how huge chiropractic is. So fundamental attribution is, you want to create an environment of learning, right? So I think creating a culture of the people that you want to mirror and you want to be like, and the coaches that you want in your life. So for me, creating your culture, and same thing with your family. I've been married 30 years. I have 2 beautiful children. One of my key, and I learned this from my family, I saw so many chiropractors growing up that were brilliant, successful chiropractors, and they were married and divorced 2-3 times.
Yeah.
So while they were amazing chiropractors, they weren't amazing in their marriage or amazing in their, in their relationships with their children. I didn't want to be that person because I saw that growing up. Mm-hmm. So a core value for me is creating not only the culture to be a great chiropractor, but creating the culture to be a great human being and a great dad and a great husband.
That's amazing. All right. So if I heard you correctly, your first key is creating your world around you. So it's friends, mentors, coaches, so that your world looks the way that it wants to.
Yeah, create your culture, I call it.
All right, create your culture. I love that. What's number 2?
Number 2 is what I call information to application, right? So I think for me, one of my keys to success is I've always been the type of person that loves to read, loves to go to seminar, loves to be on podcasts and listen to podcasts all the time. And I don't so for me, when I read, I'm looking at my bookshelf. I'm in my office right now, and there's literally hundreds of books that I read on this bookshelf, and I read every morning. I have a process I call the Hour of Power. I learned this from Bob Hoffman.
Yep.
I get up every morning at 5 a.m., every single morning. I've never used an alarm clock in the past 10 years because I go to bed early. My body naturally wakes up at 4:30. I'm out of bed by 5. I do my meditation. I sit in my jacuzzi for about 15 minutes. I get out. I pick up the book that I'm reading, and I read for a half hour, sometimes an hour. But I read with a highlighter, and I read a tangible book because I like the feel of a book in my hand. And I highlight that. And when I get to the end of the book, and I do the same thing if I've been to a seminar or if I'm on a podcast, what 2 or 3 things can I take from this book and apply it in my life? Because the fact of the matter is, why do we read these books, go to the great seminars, get on podcasts like this? If we don't take the information and apply it in our life, maybe it was entertaining, but it's not going to change our life. So it's got to be the information to application in your life.
That is so powerful. Yeah. And if someone takes away nothing else than these two things, but if we didn't go any further, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so let me just give one more strategy with this, because I had a new patient this week that came from a series that I do, and I call it Into Health. It's 2-minute videos that I do on different health topics. I do it every single week. It's professionally laid out. We send it out to our patients through email. We post it to our Facebook page. And I had a patient in yesterday who's doing our 8 weeks to wellness. She said, I saw one of your Into Health videos, and I thought it was just phenomenal. So she reached out and she booked an appointment in our practice. So, it's just like the information, if we get it out there, Robert, to our communities. And that's why I love podcasts, and that's why I love reading books, because it gives me so many ideas. And to take these ideas and keep them to myself, no, I want to share them with the community so they can benefit as well.
Exactly. Information is not meant to be kept. It's meant to be shared.
Without a doubt.
So, okay, so those are your first two, and I'm watching the clock, and I hate how it's running so fast. What's your third one? What's your third key?
So my third key is, I call this be more interested than interesting, right? I would say God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And, one thing I've noticed, whether that's with patients or friends or just talking to people in public, I don't think people really know how to listen. I don't think people really know how to ask questions properly, with asking a question really to understand, like not just asking a question, like in our consultation, ask a question and then, cut the patient off, or not listen with empathy. So I want to be more interested in people, whether that's my friends or meeting you or meeting a patient. I want to know about their story. I want to empathize and put myself in their shoes. They say there's the golden rule, right? And so we want to be able to put ourselves in our patient's shoes and really understand their story. So for example, we go back to a person who's never been adjusted. How many times has this happened in your career, Robert, where a patient says to you, I really am nervous. I'm scared to get my neck adjusted, so I prefer you not adjust my neck. You can adjust everything else, but I don't want you to adjust my neck. So has that happened to you, Robert?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's happened to me many times, right? Now, we can do one of two things, and we can say, okay, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, and they don't know what they're talking about. But perception is reality, right? So I never discount a person's fear or their philosophy. What I want to do is love them, right? And what happens? We get that person, okay, let's say we don't adjust their neck for a week or two, but after 2-3 weeks, what generally tends to happen, Robert, right? They come in one time and say, you know what? Go ahead and adjust my neck. I really think I'm okay with it now. And you start adjusting their neck, and they're like, wow, that wasn't anything what I thought it was going to be, right? Yeah. And before you know it, you're adjusting their whole spine. So I think really listening from a point of empathy and trying to be more interested in people than interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I call that being insanely curious about people.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a fourth one. I know it's 3, but real quick. I call this learning to eat shit sandwiches. And I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but I promise you, and this is a thing I see with the younger generation, is you will eat shit sandwiches on a regular basis in your practice and in your life, right? And, I used to say to myself, why is this happening to me? Why would God do this to me, And now I say, okay, this is the shit sandwich I got to eat this week. And I've gotten really good at managing problems and learning to eat these shit sandwiches and getting them down and moving on. But so many people, they want to avoid the hardships. They want to avoid the hard lessons in life. And things are going to happen in your life and practice that you don't want to happen, right? It's going to be bad, and you've got to learn how to deal with those problems.
Yeah. And something that I have learned, and tell me if you agree, it's funny how God keeps giving you the same sandwich until you learn how to eat it.
There's no doubt about it. And that's the whole point, right? Is like, if you keep having to eat the same shit sandwich, you haven't learned your lesson, right? Yep. There's things that happen to us that we have no control over. But there's a lot of things that happen to us that we have control over, and we just haven't made the course correction, so we don't have to keep eating that same shit sandwich and dealing with the same problems in our life.
Yeah, and once you've figured out how to eat that one, suddenly it's not there anymore.
Yeah, you almost look forward to eating them. You're like, yeah, hey, this one's a small one. I can get this down in like one bite.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, you know what? You're the first person all year who's forced their way to give me a fourth, and I love the one you just gave me. That's awesome. So I got to switch gears a little bit because time is running. So based on the way your practice is, based on your four keys of success, tell me how you define business success.
So, I think I define business success as being profitable in my practice to the point where I get to have a level of independence in my personal life. So, my business funds my personal life. So, for example, next week we chartered a power catamaran in the Bahamas, and we're going to cruise around with another chiropractic couple for a week. And I'm captaining the boat, and we're going all over the Exuma Islands, and we're going to have a great time. My practice funded that for me, Every blessing, I have to say this, Robert, every blessing I have in my life, I can some way, either directly or indirectly, point right back to chiropractic and what it's done for me.
Yeah.
Right? I will never be able to outgive this profession what it's given me. So for me, business success is having a practice that funds your dreams.
I love that. So if that's business success, how do you define personal success?
So personal success for me is, I really believe this in my heart of hearts. I read a book. I always tell chiropractors about this book. It's by Martin Seligman. It's called Authentic Happiness. And they studied happy people, right? They didn't study people that were depressed or alcoholics or schizophrenic. They studied happy people. And what they found out was they all had a lot of things that they didn't share in common, right? Like where they lived, male, female, how much money they make, because we know people that are dirt poor that are extremely happy, and we know people that are extremely wealthy that are absolutely miserable, right?
Yep.
But the one thing that all authentically happy people shared in common, Robert, was service. They served outside of their own needs with the talent that God gave to them. And God gave me the talent to be a great chiropractor, and shame on me if I'm not out there serving. So personal success is happiness. I look forward to waking up every day. I don't look forward to hit my snooze alarm and dread getting out of bed. I look forward because I'm serving beyond my own needs to serve other people to make this world a better place.
Yeah, I get to get out of bed and go do this. How cool is that?
It's amazing.
Yeah. All right. So I want to switch gears one more time. So putting all this behind you or in perspective, I should say, here it is 2025. Is it possible, in your opinion, for a doc who's just getting out of school or a doc who hasn't found success yet, they've struggled for years, is it possible for them to become a huge success starting today?
Yeah, and I think you're asking the right person this question because I'm part of the Life University Peak program, so I have interns on a regular basis. I have one right now. So I have a lot of interns that come through my practice, and I help get them positions, and I see them thrive. So without a doubt, I think one of the things that the younger generation really needs to work on is work ethic. I do see that in some of the interns that I get. They expect to come out of school. You and I probably work 5-6 days a week and probably made, $36,000 to $50,000 coming out of school. And some of these interns come into my practice. They think they're going to work 3 days a week and make six figures. Yeah. So they're a little naive. And I think that's just the culture that we live in. They haven't had too many hardships in their life. A lot of these kids, they had to go through war, depression, or anything like that, like our parents did, or some of the hardships that we had to. But there is no doubt in my mind because I see it. I see these guys going on to have huge success.
And I couldn't agree with you more about everything that you've just said. So, to one of those docs, or one of your own interns, what would you say to them if they said, "You know what, doc? I've heard what you have to say, and man, I'm drawing a line in the sand. It's time. It's my time. What's my first step?"
So I would say to them this, we're chiropractors, we understand bones, right? So one of the things I teach them right off the bat, Robert, I tell them you really only need 3 bones. You need a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone, okay? The wishbone is you need to see your dream, see your practice in specific detail, and literally write it out. How do you want to practice? How many patients do you want to see? What does your practice look like? Where are you going to practice? How many associates are you going to have? That's going to change, but you need to have a wishbone. You need to have a dream, right? The second bone, you need to have a backbone. You need to work your ass off to fulfill your dream. I did, you did, Robert. All the people we know that are mentors of ours who are successful work their ass off, right? And so having a backbone is having discipline. It's sticking to your principles, right? It's having a work ethic, a backbone, right? And then a funny bone. Funny bone is enjoy life, right? I mean, I laugh, I cry with my patients, I hug my patients.
Yep.
I love going to my office because my patients are like an extended family to me, and we have fun, right? We have to have a sense of humor. We have to be able to laugh at ourselves and not take life too serious, right? So having a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone is what I tell them.
So, Dane, I got to ask you one last question because time is running out on us. So you have shared so much phenomenal information. I mean, everything from your literally generations and your family, your 8 weeks to wellness program, the fact that you're a mentor through Life University, their peak program. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to get more information, would you be okay with that? With speaking with someone?
Without a doubt. I speak to chiropractors all the time, Robert, and I always take the time for them because, as I told you, and I just got tingles when I said this, Robert, and I have to tell you, when you get chills or tingles in your body,
Yep.
I always tell people that's God telling you you're about to say something really important, right? So apparently what I'm about to say is really important. So I can never give back to this profession what it's given me. It's given me healthy children. It's given me all the success in my life that I have. It's given me my dreams. I've traveled around the world. It's given me a purpose to wake up to. I'll never be able to outgive this profession. So if I can do something for a chiropractor out there that's struggling in any way, they can absolutely reach out to me anytime they want.
Man, amen. Tell me now, for the world to hear, how would somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to speak with you?
It's really simple in the days of social media and the internet. Look me up, Dr. Dane Donohue. There's not a lot of Dane Donohues, DaneDonohue. My email is super simple. It's drdanedonohue@gmail, all one word, no period, DrDaneDonohue@gmail.com. My practice is Wellness Solution Centers. They can look me up, and if they Google me, I guarantee they'll be able to find me. My cell phone number is 267-980-5660. You can reach out to me and text me. And if anybody ever wants to have a conversation, I will make the time for you, I promise.
Dane, I got to tell you, based on what you said before, you are one of my new friends. And I look forward to you and I chatting more. And having said that, Dr. Dane Donohue, you are amazing. And thank you for taking the time to do this interview today. And I will look forward to you having more conversations in the future.
Yeah, and I would just recommend everybody, guys, this podcast is really awesome. Go back and listen to this whole year has been great. So please share this with other chiropractors. I mean, you are getting wisdom from, chiropractors have been in the profession for decades. And so share this podcast with other chiropractors.
All right. And that's our show for today. If you have a question about today's show or your own practice, feel free to reach out at fortheloveofchiropractic.com. Before making changes to your practice, be sure to seek legal advice regarding those changes and regulations in your state. For the Love of Chiropractic is an RGF production, all rights reserved. And thanks for listening. Original music provided by Hunter Rich Music.